Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Hi, my name is Dennis Hawk, and this is the Revival podcast. And at the Revival, the purpose of this podcast is to connect communities where people are creating communities of love and compassion. And these people are really change makers. And each person that we've had on and the persons we have on our list have all been creating community in their place. And so today I get to introduce my co-host, Kari Uselman, who will then introduce our special guest today.
Thank you, Dennis. And thank you, Cindy Huston, for being our guest today. We're really excited to have you here. Cindy, you're the founder of Yoga Body Elements in the Uptown neighborhood, right in Chicago, right by the lake. And I've known you for a little while, and what I have witnessed with what you have and are building in your neighborhood, it's like you're weaving community from a heart-centered space. You're a perfect fit for what we want to share with the world, these like an acupuncture point along your beautiful acupuncture point in the planet that's radiating, community and love for others. And you teach yoga, you instruct yoga, right? You do yoga teacher training. Did I get that right? Yes.
Started yoga,
and your work goes like you embody the spirit of yoga, and you take that into the groups that you have facilitated, the women's circles, your solstice celebrations, your Uptown Wellness Festival that you do in bringing others together in community. And in these spaces, as people are connecting within themselves and calming their nervous systems, it's a reminder that healing is within and all around us, and we're all of this connected network. And, Dennis and I really appreciate all the beautiful offerings and the service work you do in your area that extends beyond, because I know you're connected with Guatemala, with the sacred cacao and you do Kirtan, you connect people through voice and frequency. We connected through a pendant that you saw that I was wearing when Dennis and I were chatting on Facebook. So that was pretty cool. And, we really appreciate these truly lived experiences. And so we have some questions that we're going to dive deeper into that. But I just really wanted to note that you're the founder of Yoga Body Elements and that you're right smack in downtown Chicago in the Uptown area. So thank you for being our guest today. When we talk about gatherings and sacred community, I'm just curious as to what is speaking to your heart in that realm right now.
First, I just want to say thank you for the acknowledgement and the sharing and how it's being communicated and received. Sometimes I feel as creators, sometimes we have different reasons for creating, and thank you for sharing what you're seeing and witnessing and experiencing.
Oh, you're a bright, bright light. We see your light. We feel your light. And it matters. You're making a huge difference, positive, beautiful difference, Cindy. Yeah. I feel like I'm getting waterworks in my eyes just saying that. Oh my gosh.
Well, from my perspective, I've been wanting to get you two together because there seems to be a lot of, and you talk languages that I do not even understand. When you two start talking about frequencies, it's like, what? I'm just a singer. That's all I do.
That's frequency, Dennis.
I know. That I know. I'm at least, I'm aware of that. Why do you think people are craving community right now?
Oh, there's so many reasons. The root, we want community. We want to belong. We want to feel like we matter. We want to feel like what we're doing matters. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be acknowledged. Right now, the beauty of the internet is the opportunity to connect near, far, and wide. And I I find myself describing things like a pendulum. I feel even with that, that has swung too far, and that we as a planet, which is a big community itself, are trying to find how do we balance this new way of connecting, or this way of connecting. I don't know how new it is, but this way of connecting, and do it in a good way and a positive way, and where we feel seen, heard, and acknowledged and celebrated. And also there's that respect. And through saying that, there is a hunger for authenticity and tradition, and even just within spirituality, like we had this big boom expansion. For me, it was really, I mean, of course, coming into body, but 2007 onward, shifting from being a professional dancer, moving from performing arts to healing arts, that was really my big shift in the game and the experience. And I think I feel like we're reorganizing what does it mean to come together in community. And I could share a little bit more of even what I mean, I'm finding new communities. I've been in the city for 23 years. This will be the 23rd year now to be in the city of Chicago. And I feel I've had multiple lives and experienced multiple communities. And I'm acknowledging I had a taste of a community, which is the Chicago house music scene. It was introduced to me in 2009, and it has been so much of my life. Or every week I go dancing 1 to
Do
3
you
times
really?
a week to house music. And that really reintegrated with loss, a passing of a Ron Carroll community member in the Chicago house
Oh,
scene. And it's just interesting how things like death can reorganize and yet bring us all together in a new way. And that understanding of how are we going to do this now? You know, what are we, those pieces that he left behind, how are we going to bring them back together? I feel like my introduction to him in 2009, and now reconnecting with him right before he passed. And now it's been like since September till now. And it's like a whole scene. It's just like the roots of Chicago that I really haven't allowed in the 23 years I've been here to dive in and to be in and experience. And I love it. And I feel like with that, and just see where you want to go with the conversation. I feel with that sometimes we get into our patterns, we get into our comfort zones, and we get into, you know, and sometimes big things have to shift, right, for us to make a
hmm
change.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that big shift always has to happen. I feel like we always get little messages along the way to keep opening and expanding before the big push happens. But yeah, I would say just to anyone watching or listening is if you feel that curiosity, as wild as it seems, just invite yourself to explore it, you know, and see if it's for you. You can always say, no, this isn't for me. But
Can you describe
I
what
feel like
these house what's happened? What are you doing? You're dancing, you're singing, what's happening?
dancing. I'm dancing my butt off for 2 hours at night. So it's sometimes three, and it's so wild it's perfect because I came to Chicago as a professional dancer.
Yeah, tell me about that. What was that? How did that career path, and how did that happen?
Yeah, I grew up dancing since the age of 3. And my parents put my sister in dance, and I wanted to do it. And they said yes. And they were very supportive of us dancing through our childhood into our teens. And even I went to college and got a BA in dance at the University of Iowa
Oh,
and started teaching dance at the age of 14. The
Mm.
dance studio that I was raised in asked my parents' permission if I could start teaching. And so that's when my teaching journey began, was at the age of 14. I said
wow.
yes. So I started then. And then choreographing, and then
Mm.
college. And then after college, I was asked to teach a community college to be their dance program director. But I had this fire in me that still wanted to see how far I could go as a performer. And it was either Los Angeles or Chicago, and my family talked me into going to Chicago because it was closer, you know, just in case it
Where are you
didn't work
from?
out.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Oh, great. Well, I'm from
Yeah.
Atchison, Kansas. So, I mean, it's like I have a lot of relatives in Iowa.
Oh, yeah. It's sweet. I'm honored to have that as my roots. Yeah. So I came to Chicago and I danced. I hip hop companies, modern dance companies, Streels Theater, got some contracts. Did a show in Guatemala for a month, Florida, California. And it was great. And I love it. But going professional with it, I saw another version, the struggle side of it,
Mm.
the heavier side of it, addictions and uh, just lack of support for mental health. You know, you're trained to become these different characters, you're trained to entertain. And I think now the industry is at least acknowledging it, bringing wellness into the arts a little more, which is definitely fuel for what we do here at the Wellness Center. But it just really showed me how artists fall into addictions. Because who am I when I'm not on stage performing, when I'm not that character? And then the other piece was watching my friends in their 20s, we were in our 20s, and they were getting these really insane surgeries and prescriptions. And I'm thinking, I knew deep down there was another way. And that's when I started to make my shift. My dance started to not be a joy for me. I really wanted to heal those parts within myself and get really clear on what that was for myself. And then that just led me 2007, which that's another topic, but yeah, but it was great.
Well, you piqued my curiosity. What happened in 2007?
Yeah, 2007, I say, is the big boom of every every small business, membership club, gym, spa wanting to have yoga.
Okay. All
And
right.
and I am in that crew, I say, where business owners, managers of the spaces knew that I'd been teaching since the age of 14. They knew that I had a dance degree. They knew I knew the body, and they also knew that I'd been studying yoga as a teenager. And they were thinking business. They're like, you have enough information to get our program going and or at least be a piece of it. And so that's when it really was I started getting all these invitations and it started to outweigh because at the time when I was dancing, I still had, like a lot of us, a restaurant bar job. and and it was just like, well, I want to be teaching more. I want to be building. I want to create building businesses around wellness and helping people like this. So I just listened to it. And then it was going to massage school in 2008. That was really the next big step. So I went to Pacific College of what's now called Health and Science. It was called Pacific College of Oriental Medicine, and I studied both Eastern and Western modalities. That during that time, I say is when I really got blown open and also returned to a lot of the spiritual gifts that I had buried as a teenager, but had as a kid, and just things that, come up as a teenager. And in life, we sometimes hide those parts of ourselves. And
Yeah.
yeah, I had never received that much body work in my life, that much acupuncture in my life. And I think my system just exploded open, and which then led to Reiki, and then eventually getting approved nationally by the National Board to teach continuing education and things that I had been trained and been teaching for years already. And so I've been doing that since 2011, and then opened the Wellness Center in 2014 after helping 10 plus businesses in the city of Chicago, plus festivals around North America, just doing my part, being invited to be a part in helping those grow and expand. Yeah,
It's
that's it.
really
Pretty much in
nice
a
to hear
nutshell.
your journey, this joy of movement that can kind of compressed back to expanding the joy again through the mindfulness and the wellness that's holding versus creating disturbances in the system. You're returning to let's pull the system with mindfulness and movement. It's really, really beautiful. Would you like to share a little bit more about like the circles and the gatherings that you have and if there's movement in part of those? I know you bring people in, some you facilitate. And we're drawn to the gathering and the circle spaces that you're evolving and continue to evolve and grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's many of them. Just like any project that I say yes to, it usually gets, if I'm saying no to it, usually gets really loud. And then okay, what am I supposed to do? And I just surrender and create it and invite people and just see what happens. So, yeah, as you mentioned, the women's circle. So that there was a practice circle of that in 2009 to 2010 with a group of, it was usually about 10 women, and we met and it served its purpose. And I said to myself, I never need to do that again. And and it was and that circle got recreated in 20 October 2022 from some just talk therapy that I was doing. I did the landmark courses for a year, or their leadership training programs, and then just my own personal work that I needed to bring the women's circle back. And I was like, okay. But then I just invited 10 women and they showed up. And then at the end of it, they asked, well, the structure was, I tried to keep it really simple.
Yeah.
So there's space for it to breathe and grow. And so it was serve ceremonial cacao from Guatemala, which I'd been working with cacao since 2009, but specifically Keys cacao since 2017. So start with ceremonial cacao, and then each woman gets a chance to speak. I pass around a quartz crystal. It's basically our talking stick. And the women aren't required to speak. And it's usually the framework of what's working, what's not working as well as you would like it to, and where in life would you like support. And we just listen. And then each woman once they get the opportunity to speak, whether they want to or not. And the first circle, I guest led the whole thing. And then at the end of it, when they all said, can we do this every month? And I said, if you keep showing up, I'll keep hosting. And we have our next women's circle coming up. If you're watching this in real time, February 16th, 2026. In person in Zoom, and they have. But then I thought, I don't want this just to be about like Cindy leading the women's circle, Cindy's women's circle. Like I wanted it to be full on women's circle. And so I started inviting guest leads each month. So I would open the circle and then someone would continue, whether they would speak about a project that they'd already create that they had experience in, or we've had women that wanted to create a business and do a pivot, and they just wanted support, or they wanted a practice group, and we've been their practice group. We've had newly published authors, and we've had globally known artists and event coordinators talk about how they do that, how they put these pieces together, what are their steps, how do they network, and then, wellness practitioners, Reiki practitioners, essential oil professionals. Gosh, I know with the music on this video, we need to have a musician. I don't think I've hosted a woman musician. Yeah, I need to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, and so that happens monthly on a Monday. And so anyone watching this, if you want to be a guest lead, I'd love to have that conversation. If you're looking for some space to either connect in Chicago or around the globe, I'd be happy to share that piece of that. Access Your Light Codes is a great gathering, which incorporates the frequency wellness technologies. I don't know if I should go with this or the Uptown Wellness Festival next, but
Oh no, the Uptown Wellness Festival. I definitely want. Can we just put that on the back hole, because I saw Kari light up, as soon as you started talking about the frequency stuff, and it's like, okay, you two, you need to have a conversation here and help me. So I'm the layman. I'm the guy that doesn't understand. Help me understand what you do with that, with the light codes and with the.
yeah. Well, everything is energy and sound, everything is energy. Frequency wellness. So my first frequency wellness technology that I was introduced to was in 2007. It was the infrared amethyst. No, it was actually a jade. They used to make jade, rich wave biomats. And
Mhm.
I was the community that was showing up around me, like they all had biomats, and this was something new to me in 2007. And it took me 10 years to finally invest in one. And basically, it was just because I didn't have a home base yet. And they're kind of heavy to travel around with. So
Yeah.
an infrared mat. So an infrared mat, you think Richway is the best. There's many out there. It's lined with amethyst crystals. It has EMF support. It's FDA grade B approved for arthritis. Basically, it's a heating. The difference between an infrared mat and a heating pad is a heating pad heats the body, which is nice and comfortable, but the infrared reaches the body on a cellular level. So it allows more blood flow, circulation, detoxifying of the body to happen, and also then that allows the body to repair. And I had clients, bodywork clients from 2009, 10, when I finally got it, the mat, and they'd been laying on the heating pad and they liked it. They were getting a nice session. But some of them who had went through multiple cancers, injuries, once they laid on that mat for 60 minutes to 90 minutes, whether it was weekly, every other week, or monthly, they really started to notice a difference in their body, reduction of pain, a reduction of inflammation, better circulation if they had any numbing, tingling in their body. So it's an excellent, excellent product. It is a little bit of an investment, but the one I have here in the wellness center on the table, I've had since 2017, and it's still working great. So it's quality. And what's really great is any wellness practitioners out there, a lot of people don't know, is you can become a distributor. And that's how I got more wellness products for the wellness center. If someone invests in a biomat with you, excellent business in rich way, is you get half commission in a check, but then you get half commission in a product certificate. So you have to spend it on a Rich Way product. But that's what got me to get 4 more products for the wellness center, which is another service that we offer, which is restorative yoga with infrared biomats. So that created a whole
Wow.
nother experience for people that's unique to the restorative yoga that I'd already been teaching. So the infrared mat's great. The frequency wellness technology that Kari and I connected to, that I saw her wearing, which I had mine on, I just took it off for the interview, is the IZ, Jason Styles IZ from iPyramids. And I found Jason through AI, really. It was AI that connected to us, because there's another wellness technology, which is, if you want to see, it's right behind the laptop, which is our Biocharger. I don't know, would you like to hear about the iTaurus or the iPyramids of the
Sure, go.
Biocharger?
It's all about holing, right? And we get so imbalanced with non-beneficial EMFs from cell phone towers and different wavelengths. These technologies are holing. And a lot of people, Cindy, as you know, don't understand what the field is around the human body, that torus or torsion field. So I think that would be fabulous for our listeners.
Okay, very good. And great for bringing up the EMF, because all of the wellness technologies that we have here in the Wellness Center do support with the pulse electromagnetic frequencies, which is what clears out the EMFs, which are, it's real. It's energy, but it's another unseen energy, but it can be very damaging to our bodies. So that's our technologies, our cell phones, and any other unknown, unseen frequencies moving through the planet, whatever they're being used for. So PMFs help bring you back to harmony. It's like when you're
What does that
in nature.
stand for? What does that stand for?
Pulse electromagnetic frequencies.
Okay.
It has a pulse, and it's a pulse like the pulse of the earth. It's the pulse
Okay.
like when you're by the lake or the ocean. It's the pulse like when you feel when you're in a mountain, when you're around a mountain, or you're climbing a mountain. It's the pulse when you're in a forest or around a bunch of trees. It's that energy, that pulse, that frequency that you get when you're in front of the sun and you're outside with the sun. And just a lot of people, are indoors a lot, or are working on their computers a lot, and they don't get, or in the city, even though we've got great nature spots, People tell me all the time they don't access them, they don't make time for them.
Right.
And this is just another way to get that energy if you feel that you're needing to be inside for a while, or maybe you're healing, recovering from something, and you're not able to get
Yeah.
outside. This is where these frequency wellness technologies can be super helpful and speed up recovery.
Yeah.
Well, what are they? What exactly are they? These
Are
technologies that you're talking about.
Yeah, so great question.
Don't you like this, Kari? That
Yeah.
I'm
So
I'm
she
so
talked about the
uninformed,
biomat. Yeah.
that I can
This
come
is
with the
great,
right
Dennis.
questions, right?
And I loved your explanation, Cindy, of PEMF and the just
Yeah, I understand it now.
anchoring it, because it is the frequency of nature.
100%. 100%.
That was great.
Well, I can't fully speak to the biomed on this, but I can speak to the Biocharger and the iPyramids, iTaurus technology. They're based off of Nikola Tesla, Lakowski, Rife, and Gerswitch. So if you've ever looked into their research, that's where this energy comes from, these frequencies come from. So there's scientific backing. There's over 100 different articles specifically with the Biocharger alone. Jim Gerard, who created, I'm try not to jump back and forth the different technologies, but Jim Gerard, who created the Biocharger.
Can you tell me what a biocharger is?
Yeah, would you like to see it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I think
Oh,
that would be great.
okay. I've got my setup, so I'm going to just turn here. Let's see if I can get it.
Oh, yeah, we can see it.
So this is our Biocharger, and it's high and low voltage frequency cellular regenerative. So it's designed to help with repair of the body. And so I'm going to put the laptop back down. And so as you saw with the Biocharger, energy comes out the top, and that's like energy moving through the sky during a storm. And there's actually a rod I can put in at the top of the Biocharger that you could see if you know those electric balls at the science station.
Yeah.
If you ever saw one, or I think even like gift shops used to sell them, you would see that energy and you would actually hear the frequency shifting if I put that rod in. I don't keep it in here. People are starting to ask what they want to see it now. Those have been coming regularly for the Biocharger. It's just loud because it's a lot of energy coming out of the system. And then inside that red coil is a Nikola Tesla coil. And then around the coil, you may have seen tubes, and those are noble gases. And those get excited and they create the benefits that the Biocharger has to offer support physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And Biocharger calls that recipes. And I can explain a little bit more what a recipe is. I get that question a lot. But then out the base is the PEMF support. So that's the pulse electromagnetic frequencies. So again, the mountains, the sun, the ocean, the trees. It radiates out 11 feet from wherever it's placed. The room that it's in here in
Wow.
the wellness center is a 300 square feet. So the people out in the halls are the whole building is getting benefits from this Biocharger. And it runs, most of the recipes run over 420 hertz, and science has actually found that anything over 420 hertz, no pathogen or cancer cell can survive. And
Wow.
the energy level that it can go light, normal, and boost, and that's just how much energy is coming out of the system. And you may have seen the screen at the bottom. There's a clock that shows up there, so you can see how long the recipes will go. They'll anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. And then it also shows that when the different frequencies change, so you can see what frequency you're actually at. So even as a musician working with different tones and frequencies, so you are working with frequencies.
Yeah, I am.
You can see where it's coming from, or where it's at with the energy coming out of the system. But there's recipes like abundance, aura cleanse, gifts of spirit, earth pulse. But then when you go to dental infection or lumbar support, lymph support, mitochondrial support, PTSD assist, viral assist, and there's well over 1,000 recipes. They're interchanged through the cloud. The system holds anywhere from 33 to 35 recipes. And that's just because it takes a lot for the system to hold all of that. And yeah, so you just interchange them through the cloud and I learned about
Wow.
this Biocharger because I studied with Tony Robbins for a year. And my intention for studying with Tony Robbins for a year is who is this man? Getting people super motivated, bringing people together in a positive way and impacting people to want to do better things in their life and the globe. So that was my intention for going to meet him in person and then also study with his programs. And the program that I learned about the Biocharger at is called Date with Destiny, and that's one of his 5-day programs. And he invites Biocharger in. And I'm told now any in-person event he does, check me on this, but I'm told that he invites Biocharger into all of them. That wasn't the case. It was only at Date with Destiny when the ones that I'd studied. But I had 3 15-minute experiences. And after the first two, I'm pretty clean with what I eat, what I put in my body, what I surround myself with. And I was having experiences of detoxing. Stuff was coming out of my nose. I was coughing. I was like, this is interesting. But I knew after the second one that I was going to bring it to Chicago.
Mm.
With the shifts in 2020, letting go of an additional 1,000 square foot space we had, I did the pivot and brought the Biocharger in. And I didn't realize it
Nice.
was the first one publicly in the city of Chicago. So our small business, our small wellness center has been pioneering this wellness technology.
You're
That's
a
awesome.
pioneer.
That's awesome.
You're a pioneer, sister. Yeah. Yeah.
That you are. It's it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
But thank you. I knew nothing. We haven't covered light codes yet, but thank you for that. I didn't even know these things existed, until now. Thank you. I appreciate that.
My
Now
pleasure.
to light codes. What
Yeah. Well, and
educate me.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave behind, which is a part of light codes. The Biocharger, well, I guess I could talk about the Taurus later, but the Biocharger is very much about with light codes. So yeah, it was a great segue. Let's go there. So it was actually from so I got the Biocharger November of 2020, and I thought with anything, before I bring it to the public, I want to know what can this do? How far can we take it? And how far is too far?
Mm.
And
Yep.
so I just got, what if I did ceremonial cacao, worked with essential oils, breath work, and that all of that, and then did an hour of at least of the Biocharger. And so I did that for 5 days and I was feeling really good. And so then my brain, from other things of being a raw foodie for a while and recovering from a 14-year eating disorder, of what I'd done to do that, I was like, well, I know there's something about 14 days, 21 days, how far can we take this? And so that, well, maybe I can get to 7. And if I can get to 7, can I get to 14? But day 6, my system was done. And it just had enough. And then Biocharger actually recently came out that 6 days on, 1 day off. So that aligned. But I had been practicing this and I had been telling people about it. And then I had invited a few people in. Some were frequency wellness technology enthusiasts. And they said, you need to get this out into the public, Cindy. And so it was December of 2022, December of 2022, had the first Access Your Light Codes experience. And it was really just that practice brought publicly. People came in. And so we've been doing it monthly. So people come in, they get a cup of ceremonial cacao. They get to pick 4 essential oils to work with during the experience. Very similar, drink the cacao, set any intentions. I share all the recipes that are on the Biocharger, and people just I say, if this one speaks to you, say yes. And so I try to catch all the ones that they say yes to. And I say, we try to fit as many of them in as we can I set it for a 3-hour experience. So we don't have to feel rushed. We do breath work, and the breath work that I chose, it used to be the 4 count or 6 counts, but studying with the cacao in Guatemala, I spent some time at the Pyramid School, which is right along Lake Atitlan in San Marcos in Guatemala. And one of the very powerful breath practices was the 7, 9, 11, and 13. So we've been doing that. And it's been really great for people. And then I just incorporate very gentle stretching movement. And it's really to integrate the essential oils that they work with. During the breath work, we inhale the essential oils. So we use the essential oils during the breath work. But the movement is really there to integrate the cacao and then to also integrate the essential oils so that when they lay down for the next hour on a bolster, on a blanket, I cap it at 8 people. So it's intimate, but they don't feel crowded and that they have space to receive. But during that time of them laying down and receiving the biocharger, I play the singing bowls. I use the crystal tones singing bowls. I think they're one of the best out there. A hand drum from Peru. I play the harmonium. I'll sing some mantras. And there's usually a decent amount of sage or Palo Santo just so the space is continuous being cleared. The biocharger does really great energy work, but it still needs support once that energy gets cleared into the space for the energy to clear out. So I just support that so people feel really good when they leave. And so people will come monthly for that. They say that's part of their monthly reset. And so I've just been offering that monthly here at the Wellness Center as an experience.
That's amazing.
Again, people working personally, but in community, and as each person is doing that inner journey, it reflects in the tapestry of everybody who's there, and then it filters out. I love what you're doing, Cindy. I just love what you're doing. You're going to talk about a little bit more about the Uptown Wellness Festival. That is growing and a beautiful event that you facilitate. So we'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, the Uptown Wellness Festival started in 2019. The business, Yoga Body Elements had a practice in Lincoln Park for 3 years, and then 2014 moved to Uptown, and we've been here the last 11 years. And during that time, up to 2019, I'd been asking the chamber to bring the wellness practitioners together because we weren't talking. And I knew if we started talking, something powerful could happen. And so we had the meeting, and me and 2 other women who were physical therapists who are no longer here. They've gotten married, they've had babies, they left the city, but we collaborated and we put together the first Uptown Wellness Festival. And what it was a walk, and it started at Yoga Body Elements, which is at the south end of Uptown. And then any business that wanted to be involved, we just put them on a map, and people could stop in the businesses and they could offer experiences or raffle prizes, whatever they wanted to do. At least know where they were in the neighborhood and what they were offering. It went all the way up to Fat Cat, which is a restaurant. They wanted to be a part of it because they figured people would be hungry at the end of walking. And
Love
it was
it.
the first one. And I was like, okay, let's just get people involved. And it ended up pouring. We did really well because we were at the beginning of the walk, but it ended up pouring rain that day. So I as I checked in with the other businesses, they had lower attendance, but we still at least put the first one on. And then after that happened, that first festival happened, I thought I'd already done the Chicago Hula Hoop Festival in 2015. I had already put on a bigger event and like city connecting different neighborhoods. And I thought, all right, and then I do have to give credit to what Sridhar created with Bhakti Fest. I learned so much from volunteering and also helping coordinate the yoga rooms there.
Yeah, Sridhar is amazing in the work that he's done for yoga, Kirtan, and festival creating. I got to meet him in Madison, and what an amazing, amazing man.
Yeah, he's a visionary and an extra taker, and he knows business. He knows business. I mean, and I think that's one of the hardest things in the spiritual world is to run. I think one of the hardest businesses to do is a spiritual business. Because how do you bring two both together successfully and in a kind, compassionate way and keep those energies balanced? And it's challenging. But I learned so much of what worked and what didn't work and how to bring people together and how to bring high quality people together also. Like,
I could have sworn, Cindy, that you had a degree in marketing because I watched the things that you do in Chicago and the events that you put on, and I thought, holy cow, how did she get all these marketing skills? Because you've got them. You do.
think just through the years of teaching and just being in different environments and just seeing what worked and what didn't work and just getting that fire within me to just take a leap and do it and see what happened and trust and be okay to fail and redirect. And so I just basically the framework that I had watched from him with Midwest Kirtan Festival, Midwest and also West Coast, I thought, well, there's a framework there. I'm going to try it in Chicago. No one else was doing it. We were bringing festivals in, and that didn't make sense to me because we have so much. We're the second largest
Yeah.
city in North America. Like what? So I just put it out there, and sometimes we would do one event, sometimes we would do two events outdoors. There's a piece of land, there's an 8,000 square foot piece of land right just west of the wellness center. It's owned by Thoric Hospital. And I happened to one day, I literally just got, you need to go ask that person. And I said, and that land had been speaking to me. Like I was like, as a dancer, I thought, oh my gosh, we should have performances here. We should have dancers dancing on this land, So even before the wellness center even happened. And then I just asked him, he goes, will you talk to me? What do you want to do? And I told him, and I'd actually researched that land had been purchased by the hospital for wellness purposes. So that was in alignment. And so, yeah, we had this piece of land to create on that I just needed to communicate with them, private property. So we had a lot of freedom. And I just put it out to people. And there was gong baths and yoga classes, and chefs would talk about and do food art. We would have art. We would be a part of the Uptown Art Week where I would host artists. They would talk about and artists from anywhere from interior designers to food chefs to teachers in the school system teaching art classes. And then hosting DJs, which the neighborhood loved. They're like, "Who are you, and why aren't we doing this more on this piece of land?" And so I just kept doing it, and people, yeah. And then last year there was a little bit of a shift, but it was interesting because it was also another opening because um, I was in 2025 autumn events. I was having a hard time finding a DJ that could commit, and I had just recently met a jazz musician who had moved here from Australia, and I said, "Listen, people are expecting music. Do you want to do something?" And so then that's where Hula Hoop Jazz Jam got created.
Wow.
And people loved it. And so that was also interesting, a merge of the first festival, Chicago Hula Hoop Festival, and then the version of Uptown Festival that we did. We did some pop-ups on the land with hula hooping and DJs right at the Triangle, which is where, if you know the city of Chicago and the Uptown neighborhood, it's where Green Mill is, it's where Argonne is, it's where the Riviera Theater's big music venues that people will come to see shows. Yeah. And it's just an opportunity. And then, yeah, I'd host vendors so people would come and share their products and services. And then, yeah, we collaborated with Chicago Market, which they're wanting to open a co-op on the north side of the CTA Wilson stop here. So they had a big vacant CTA open bare bones space that we did a festival there. There was Yoga Body Elements was wellness partners with the largest vegan food hall in the Midwest that was here for 5 years, X Market. And we weren't sure what venue we were going to have in 2024. And people always want food. And I'm always like, okay, how are we going to do this food piece? Well, they had food. They had restaurants that had, like a food court kind of, little pop-up spaces. And so we just did everything there in 2024,
That's
adapting,
amazing.
Wow.
shifting, and create.
So you are such a key catalyst in reviving your community, which includes the hearts of the people and the hearts of the businesses. Just wondering what that feels like. Like, you get this joy from dancing. It must, when you're watching your vision unfold and you're so humble, and you're such a powerhouse with this wisdom where it's not about you. It's about connection. Just, how you feel with your beautiful creations.
It can feel like a lot. It feels
Mhm.
really big. I have to give credit to the practices. Like I have my non-negotiables now that I do for myself. So my daily, people will call them rituals or practices, and they're my non-negotiables. And yeah, I mean, none of this has been easy. I mean,
No,
there's been
no.
multiple
No.
things that have been, you just conversations, be open to conversations, don't force, don't be afraid to do. Just have your tools that you can come back to. And it's okay to express emotion. I mean, I cry so many times throughout the
Mm.
day. I'm just like, it's like, and then I've got a connection to this bird sanctuary, butterfly sanctuary. So I'll go hang out with them, and they eat out of my hands, and that's very sweet. Kind of connect to the trees, and very connected to the water in this area by the Montrose area, which is near where the wellness center is, and just knowing when to do and knowing when to rest. And that's taken some time to learn and be okay with the stillness and reorganize it. Yeah, I think it's just be open to recreating all the time. It's like sometimes you think who's going to come with you doesn't. And so but
Right.
you're creating this whole, which can, bring up some emotion, but then this whole other thing unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and so that practice
Yeah.
of surrender, and it's okay and it's enough. And yeah, I'm always listening. I've gotten to the practice of I always either have a mantra on or a frequency on, or I'm listening to someone talk to me because it can like through the phone, like on the phone, like, like a podcast or something, because it can be a lot. Um, because yeah, we're working with humans with their human stuff, and how do we come together and listen to each other and see the heart, see the connection of the
Mm-hmm.
why rather than a story about it.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, and
Can
I
you
think
talk
it's
about the
just
non-negotiables? I love
yeah,
that term, and it was like, okay, here are my boundaries, and these are things that I do and things I won't do. What are those non-negotiables
yeah.
for
Like
you?
it,
I'm sure
like
they change
speaking in
from.
the practice wise, yeah, like practice wise, like so, like if I go to visit my family, they've started to do some of the things I do, but and I'm grateful to share with it. But it's like they wake up very differently than I wake up, and they start their day very differently than I start my day, and so that means I don't like to jump out of bed, and I don't want to jump out of bed. So it's not that I don't want to get up. I just need to integrate first, and I need to give myself time to breathe and arrive. Then, yeah, and then I have my practices, which I guess I could share some of
Mhm.
them. But they would want to get into these deep conversations of like, what are we going to do today? And it's like kind of like answering the emails, answering the calls right away. And it's like just giving, I need space to take care of self so then I can really move forward and take care of others and really get done in the best way or in a good way what these bigger visions and projects are
Mhm.
meant to be done. I think so I would just I just multiple times in the most loving way that I could, I'd have to say to my family, like, don't talk to me right now. I need and I had to say that language sometimes. I'd be like, don't talk to me right now. I need this space. I'm not going to be a nice person to you right now. Like, don't talk to me right now. Like, I need to take care of this and get centered because I'm not going to respond how I want to respond, how I would like to respond. And so they got it. And like, it's so sweet and cute when I go back now because they'll go to themselves and be like, don't bother her. She's got to do her yoga. It's just like, and I love it. And I just
So
like,
great.
I'm like, you're always, and then every time I'm like, oh, you're always welcome to do this with me. No, no, that's your thing. But we just know that you need that time. And I think it's just speaking, educating, stating, and, I mean, sometimes like even just them as an example, I think family can be a good example sometimes, but it shows up in other ways in life too. It's like they like to have the TV on the morning. I don't like it. So I'll go put my yoga mat in the kitchen if it's cold outside, but then all of a sudden they want breakfast. So then, they're like walking around the yoga mat. Well, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's like the practice is how do you stay in your practice in the non-ideal and imperfect situations? And then and then how can you catch yourself like, wait, I'm doing this. Like, would I want, like, if I'm trying to do we'll just say like a yoga practice, would I want someone like making breakfast around me? Maybe, I mean, I guess it would depend on the relationship, but like, maybe not. Maybe you just want your space. So I think it goes both ways. But yeah, that's become a non-negotiable. And then also definitely I started cold plunging 19 in the lake, and I would
Nice.
do that. Yeah, I've taken
Oh,
I've
wow.
taken this year off. My body needed to warm up, but 2019 I started cold plunging, and I went up until December 21st, and then I'd start again daily at the equinox. And then if I had a buddy, I would go in between that time, but I didn't want to, for safety reasons, go by myself
Yeah.
in those cold months. That was really great for keeping the mind clear amongst any challenges. And that became a non-negotiable for those years. Yeah.
So they may change over time, you know,
Yeah.
right?
I
Okay.
would say, yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to the dance. Like, there was a part of me that told myself that, like, dance was bad for a while,
Hmm.
or like it
Mm.
wasn't like, and I think it was just the environments I was finding myself in just weren't a match for me at that time, or how I was needing to grow and expand. It wasn't going to happen there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny now, like, I haven't I stopped drinking, and I wasn't drinking a lot, but like I'd have like a glass of wine like every 4 months or something. And I haven't had any since 2020, April 2020. And I
Wow.
had to get through that, as someone who had worked in the bar industry and was in that industry for 10 years. And then going through these practices and then not having alcohol. And then, like people would at the beginning of that, people would kind of like poke fun at me, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be in that environment where someone's poking fun at me,
Yeah.
especially with something that I'm still trying to integrate. Like, how am I going to be in this, And then, but now some of these places that I go dancing, like they serve mocktails and they serve alcohol, and it doesn't matter. I
Mm-hmm.
just go to dance. But I've
Right.
created this whole new relationship of who I am and how I can be, and that none of that really matters. Like, what am I there for? And how can I show up not only for myself, for others in that environment? So I think it just takes practice, and yeah, we're always finding new relationships to have us grow and challenge us, right?
Amen.
And yeah, thank you so much for being our guest today. Like I look at the tree in your back, like I was noticing is that I was thinking
Oh,
of you as a tree. Like you have these beautiful roots and you travel with them and this sturdy, anchored center as you reach out and share so much light in your gifts and connecting with your community. Now, since we do come full circle, we could talk to you for hours. I
Yeah.
know it. Today, our mission at Revival is to connect with people who are building supportive community that are rooted in love and in compassion with the connection. And you're clearly doing that in your area of Chicago, and you're doing it beyond Chicago, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
You really are, and you're doing that for the listener here, and it's just so beautiful. And you've shared so many beautiful nuggets. Is there something else you want to like leave, like just plant that seed with all your beautiful acorns and seeds with our listener today?
yeah. Well, first, Anatoly Kumar is the artist here. So if you're loving this art, go check
I
him out.
am.
He's got a studio here on Greenleaf in the city of Chicago. We have
Okay.
2 other pieces of his here in this space. I would just say, if you feel inspired, you want to have a conversation. I love collaborating. I love seeing how we can bring our superpowers together.
Yeah.
I love that. There's a passion of bringing people together, sharing their superpowers and their gifts to help
Mm-hmm.
empower others. So reach out. And I would just say, yeah, if you feel inspired to do something positive, just do it. And I can't encourage enough. There's this big thing to go big all the time. But there's no need. You can create a really big impact in a small environment, in a small physical space. Like, It doesn't have to be huge, like visually. And so just if you feel the call to do it, just start asking people, be prepared for no's, but you will get yeses. And I would just like to say thank you both for inviting me to be on your show, your podcast. I love that you both are collaborating and creating this opportunity and connection for people, not only in the spiritual wellness, health connection, music connection. There's so many, and through all there's so many ways to connect, and also for to be a space of listening for people to just expand what's possible, whether it's in their environment now or not. And maybe by hearing this with your creation, what you're creating, whoever's listening will be inspired to create some of these projects wherever they are.
Yeah. Thank
Absolutely.
you again so much. And we'll put like your contact
Yep.
information in with the links. All right.
And
Great.
just a word, my gratitude to you before we close. I got to do a little plug and give Kari a chance to as well. And as Kari said, we'll have your contact information so people could, get a hold of you and follow you on various social medias. For me, I just at least want to say I make Native American flutes, and I've been doing it for at least 35 years. And I love doing it, and you can find those at DennisHawkArtist.com. And also, I've got a lot of music on Spotify and places like that. And Kari and I have some music together as well. We
Yeah.
just did a new release called Vasudevaya with Jeremy Damel on bass. Just, it was fun, lots of fun. And Kari, you want to say a bit about what you do?
Sure. And, as always, I'm Kari Uselman. I'm with Inner Origin, and I help people release trauma and remember who they are through frequency therapy and sound alchemy. And I do origin light code work, which I absolutely love doing. And part of that sometimes is drawing, a signature drawing. And my passion is really supporting that restoration of wholeness from within, awakening soul gifts, connecting, as we are like here and in other ways, and creating spaces where the healing is held, it's present, it's loved. And so that's me.
Thank you, Kari. And we have more of these coming, but for now, I just want to say thank you, Cindy, and
Thank you.
namaste.
Yeah, thank you so much for being part of our community, and love and connection and compassion are your gift to anybody who knows you.
Louis Webster was a Native American man from the Menominee tribe in Wisconsin, and he taught me how to make these flutes. One day when we were making flutes, he looked at me and he said, "Dennis, follow the voice of the flute." Inspired by those words, I've created more than 1,200 flutes over the last 30 years. If you'd like to own one of my flutes, just go to my website at DennisHawkArtist.com and get yours today. And don't forget, follow the voice of the flute.
Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai